Most of the candidates fail in interview not because they are not able to code, but because they don't understand time complexity or space complexity. Imagine a situation you are solving a problem and that is working fine in interview, but still you are not selected. You got rejected. That sounds really unfair. It's a complexity that made it, right? So today I'm going to tell you what exactly the interviewers judge your code, how they judge your code, and how they evaluate the uh, your code, right? So welcome back to my YouTube channel, Code with Dharamveer. Now imagine a situation: you are sitting in an interview room and you solve a problem correctly, right? And the interviewer nods his head, then asks, "What's the time complexity?" This is where the most of the candidates collapse because interviewers are not evaluating whether your code will whether your code works or not. They are evaluating whether your solution scales or not. Because at the big companies like Google, Amazon, scale is everything, right? A solution that works for 100 input or 10 input might not work for 10 millions of input, right? So that is really very important. They are judging your uh, uh, performance of the code on the scale. So that is really very important. Now, imagine a situation here. You have a loop that is basically running from 0 to I less than n, right? Now, uh, then, so the time complexity for this is big O of n. Simple, right? But interviewers something expect different here, right? They don't want to they don't want the simple straightforward answer like this big O of n time complexity, but they expect you to say that this runs n time and each operation inside takes a constant time, right? So therefore the total time complexity is big O of n. They want such kind of logical correctness, thinking, your ability, right? So that's where you can impress the interviewers by saying like this kind of thing. So another thing is very important is that they are evaluating the basis of whether you can identify the time complexity or not. Can you clearly justify it or not? So, can you optimize the solution? Can you understand a trade-off between the time complexity and space complexity? Can you analyze the edge cases as well? So, they are evaluating on the following points as well. So, another thing that is important is the space complexity because uh, many of the candidates forget to mention a space complexity. If you use an extra array or extra hash map, then you need to reduce the time complexity, but the space complexity will increase. So, and that's completely fine, but you should acknowledge that the extra space is being used, right? So as to make a trade-off between the time complexity and the space complexity. So when you say uh, uh, improves your time complexity to big O of n, but you are using big an extra space big O of n, so you instantly sound like a professional. So you have to mention this thing, right? So the whole thing is of the optimization. You have as you have as a candidate, you have to optimize your solution from time complexity big O of n squared to big O of n log n to big O of n. This shows your logarithmic maturity. So that is there. You have to optimize your solution every time. Uh, Remember, interviewer basically don't hire problem solvers, they hire scalable thinkers, right? So, next time, whenever you solve the problem, don't stop at whether this will work or not. Ask yourself, how, how does this perform at scale, right? So, the single question can change everything. That is really very important. Okay. Now, some of the more points that the interviewer evaluates, it's basically a logical thinking, right? Your confidence under pressure and structured explanation as well. So that is really important, right? And so common mistakes basically the candidate makes that they are just simply not understanding the time complexity or space complexity. They are just guessing that, then ignoring the worst cases as well, forgetting to recursion stack, not explaining the reasoning. So these things you have to avoid this, right? So that is really a straightforward thing. You have to mention all these things: time complexity, justified, mention the space complexity, discuss the trade-off and optimization. So final takeaway is that interviewers hire the scalable thinkers. They don't hire the problem solvers, right? So that is really very important. Okay. So if this video helped you to understand the interviewer, how the interviewer evaluates the complexity, hit the like button, comment scalable thinker, okay, and subscribe the channel.